Hello, Jeff and Bill here, just having a break room discussion about the Rockwell controller vulnerability.
Yep.
Yes, so
this is what I understand in a nutshell. There is a hard-coded software key between Studio 5000 software and CompactLogix ControlLogix.
because there's hardware encryption built into those controllers.
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, I think it's implemented with firmware, but it's there. It's hard-coded. It's
Okay.
not variable.
Okay.
It's not like a pre-shared key that you maybe can change.
Right, it's not a software thing at all.
No.
Yeah.
So what that allows is, with Studio 5000, it's bound to all of the rules of Studio 5000. It's bound to factory talk security policies and things like that. Now a hacker can develop their own application that does anything he wants and talk and change code and firmware within that within that controller, and he's not bound by any of those rules. So
okay, and we talked before about this is version
I believe it's we'll have to check what the versions are.
30 on up. Okay.
I should check that for you.
Well, but that's okay. It's still it's fairly current. Meaning
It is
in the
current.
last
So
probably in the last year or so, right?
Well, I mean, it's older firmwares that are affected as well. I mean,
Okay.
it's a broad range of firmwares. I'll have to look up the details, but the remediation for it basically is saying the only thing that we can do safely to prevent that from happening is to switch the key switch on the controllers to run. There's program, remote, and run. And if it's in run, it's a hardware feature that prevents any modification to the program.
So, okay, because when I read through the SANS, I'm on this, commercial, or not commercial, I guess, more of an IT type security, and they said there is no software mitigation for this. So,
right.
Like you said, it's that's hard
that's
switch.
A hardware switch.
Their other, thought was to hide it, right? To make sure that it's protected in your network so it's not available.
Correct.
But you mentioned that, that other software. So if I'm a hacker, I mean, before, if I didn't have to be a hacker to get, if I had access to Studio 5000, I was in.
Right.
So that's not the hack. The real hack is if I develop something that's not Studio 5000, that can do functions like Studio 5000, then there's where the risk is at.
Yeah, because now it's kind of a big unknown what capability that would be able to do. Could it come in through a firewall through ports that aren't restricted to Studio 5000? It could come through the firewall on.
But then it would still have to go.
It'd have to have some sort of utility on the inside that would take its outside information and translate that into communications that would be understandable to the CompactLogix controller.
And on the same ports that SIP talks on.
Correct. Yeah, it's not.
Those are TCP and UDP ports.
Yes.
Okay.
So to that end, it's a big unknown right now. So for sure, we highly recommend that everybody put their key switch in run.
Right.
And that can be a hassle for some people, but for right now, we just don't know. So it's a very safe, simple, and free thing that and everyone can do, because every controller has either a toggle switch or an actual key switch to allow it to be in hard run mode.
Okay. So if I'm trying to protect or maybe even scan my network, okay, I'm going to have, there may be an engineer that's got his engineering laptop open with Studio 5000. That's just the way it is. That's normal. But to do something to try and see if I have any problems, maybe some sort of continual scan that would find some system that's using, ports, using SIP ports, but it's not Studio 5000. So some other application that may be,
perhaps,
or make sure with that, if there's any remote access, to that controller, that could be probably a huge risk right there. If there's something open, to that controller on those SIP ports, right? So if I got my firewall set up and I'm allowed, integrator XYZ is allowed to remote in, and he can remote in using Studio 5000 on his laptop wherever he's at, and he comes through, he gets authenticated, gets through the However, and he
Mhm.
has direct access to that controller using his Studio 5000, then that same path could be used by a hacker.
Could be used by a hacker. I guess we really just don't know what
Right.
they can do. So what if they come in through the port for Amazon purchasing traffic? Something that might be open. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, I'm just spitballing here. And then they have a utility that they've already added a Trojan inside.
But that have to be inside.
It
So
has to
that's-
be inside.
That's what I mean. We
Yeah.
have to. So
But
either
do
the
they-
outside threat
Yeah.
is that person that's got direct access from their laptop that's
Yeah.
got Studio 5000,
And
or
that's not a good practice anyway. But
no,
it happens,
but it
yeah,
happens, right. And then otherwise, inside there's got to be a system.
There has to be some
that
sort of
ha-
Trojan
that's
there.
running. That's running something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And so the other mitigation, just for completeness, is that SIP security, a newer
Right.
function within Rockwell, the latest and greatest hardware, some of those support SIP security, those have remediation methods to prevent this from happening. However, the brunt of hardware out there doesn't have that capability today. So
Okay.
run mode
Run mode and
and start looking at how we
yeah.
can get access.
If you have remote access open directly to those controllers, you're at risk.
Yeah.
And then otherwise, it's kind of planning to, manage my network better so I don't have applications or systems pop up that could be the threat.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right.
Defense in depth.
Defense
I've
in
heard that
depth.
term.
There you go. So get a hold of your account manager, and you could get a visit from Bill or I to maybe look more details about your particular situation.
So, thanks, guys.
Thanks.